Mr. Smith, thank you for coming on. I'm Laura O'Sullivan, and I'm here with Jagger Grace, and we're going to ask some questions about what's been going on around the school recently. So the first question we have for you is that last time we got our progress reports, there was something off with like Aspen in the grading. And has that been figured out? And if so, how did that affect the grades that we saw last time?
Yeah, so are you referring to last spring? Or are you referring to the very first progress report this year?
No, the first one's this year.
This year, yeah. So because we semesterize grades, the way that our Aspen system was set up, it was set up to do a progress report and then ultimately a quarterly grade, a progress interim report is what we call them, and then a quarterly grade. Because we changed the format around to semesterized grades to give students more time, teachers more time, it kind of disrupted a little bit. So Mr. Williamson, who does a lot of work directly with Aspen, which is our management system, has done some work with that. So this time around, it should be fine. We think that we've worked out all the bugs. And if for some reason, even if there are some mistakes, it's nothing to worry about because they are, once again, just semesterized interim reports, and they're not your actual quarterly grade. Those you won't see until February. Or the end of January, where you'll actually see a semester grade. So yeah, anytime we make a change, and especially in this case, in order for us to tweak that entire system, it would probably take 20 to 30 hours, and we feel like we didn't want to do that and change it over to have to change it back next year when we're hopefully in a more normal place.
All right, thank you. Second question is, how will gym work in the winter? Because I know we've been mostly outside and doing outside activities.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. So I think what we're going to have to do is look at some more socially distanced type of sports. You know, there may be some pickleball, maybe some badminton. You know, it's unlikely that we would do the close contact floor hockey or basketball or that type of thing. We're also looking at ways in which we can use the weight room in the winter, which would enable to have some students go in there and be socially distanced and do some workouts. We're also looking at having some breakout rooms, and then perhaps having some of the time that students have the wellness class to be doing some things at home. So there may be some more individual type workout plans and that type of thing, just because we may need the gym more as the weather does turn clearly for lunch. But we may even need it for some other times that come up. You know, one of the things that we're going to have to do for juniors are going to have to take MCAS. They didn't take them last spring, and the state is requiring juniors to take them. I'm sure the juniors will be thrilled to hear that news. And, you know, we're going to need space. So one of the things we probably would do is set up some chairs in the gym. So, yeah, wellness is going to look different as the winter really sets in. But I will say that our wellness people have done a nice job, and they're well prepared for this. So they'll be giving you more information as we go along.
Okay, so our next question is looking into the future. Do you see us switching to full remote anytime soon?
So it's interesting. I think when we set up this hybrid model over the summer, there was a lot of anticipation that schools would at some point definitely go remote just because of where the virus was. But what we're learning as time goes on is schools aren't necessarily the source of spreading. It's other places. It's close contact, maybe with large family gatherings or a wedding or something that's a little bit different. That being said, it's always possible, but you know, we thought for sure we would be going remote at some point. Now we're not so sure. Now we think that we may be able to continue if students and faculty continue to do what they need to do to stay safe and healthy, that we in fact may be able to continue our hybrid model through the winter, which we know will be the toughest part. And then hopefully as the spring and late year rolls along, the vaccines are able to be implemented, and that may help us. So, you know, I don't have a crystal ball to say that we won't, But I'm just saying that I think it's less likely that we'll go remote now than I would have said earlier in the year, where I would have thought, yeah, December, we're probably all remote in December. Now, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think it's going to probably be a school by school situation. And hopefully that's good news for you guys. Hopefully you do enjoy being in school a couple of days. And, I know some students would like to be in more. Some students like the 2 days. Um, what we're trying to do is do the 2 days well, and continue to improve on that. In some ways, it's interesting when we got feedback from the student survey, which was very informative. We learned that in some cases, some students actually like the remote classes because they're not wearing the mask. They feel like the teachers can do more. It's not as restrictive. Others felt like it's harder. 80 minutes on Zoom is hard. There's sort of a Zoom fatigue, unless teachers are breaking things up. So, we're looking to definitely make some adjustments as we go along. So hopefully that we can square up those issues and make it a better experience. But it's clear that when students are in school, one of the things that they probably love the most is just the ability to chat with their friends, just the ability to hang out and have lunch with your friend, walk the hall with your friend, share a laugh in person instead of through a computer screen. And trust me, we recognize the value of that.
Thank you. A follow-up is, if indeed our school does shut down, how will we adapt, and will the curriculum change?
So fortunately, when we created the schedule we did over the summer, we knew that it had to be flexible and it had to be able to move from in-person to remote to maybe more days in person. So the curriculum itself really will not change. If we did go fully remote for an extended period of time, our teachers would probably have to get more creative with assessments. But I do think that the actual instruction and the learning wouldn't change a whole lot because teachers have adapted pretty well. And some teachers, I think, have really done an outstanding job of being able to create instructional lessons via Zoom, that enable students to still learn the material, yet still interact with their teachers. So there'll still have to be some tweaks, Jagger, no doubt, but I don't think that the curriculum as a whole will change that much. Certainly won't have a different schedule.
Okay, perfect. So the next question we have is kind of broad. It's, if so, what big differences have you noticed, or what has changed since our last show?
I actually think that the underclassmen have done a better job of kind of figuring out the social distancing a little bit better. I think early on it was really hard because you guys were excited to see each other, and it was just like clumps of students on top of one another, and it was hard. And so I think that has improved. By no means is it perfect. I think what else has improved or has changed is I get the sense students are kind of in a groove now. Initially it was kind of this new thing, like we're here, then we're home, but now students kind of have a schedule. I mean, let's face it, we're all creatures of habit. And once we have something set for a while, we've been in school almost 9 weeks, things start to settle in. So you start to develop a system where if you're a Monday, Tuesday in school and a Thursday, Friday remote, you start kind of planning your life around that and figuring things out. And where are my heavy days? Where are my lighter days? When I'm in, will I be testing? When I'm home, how will I handle that? I think that has changed a little bit. And I think we've learned more and more about the virus. So I think that we've learned, the steps that we're taking, we're taking all possible steps really with the mask, social distance wherever we can. Our desks are 5.5 feet apart, from nose to nose. I think we've also learned that even though we're seeing some real positive numbers, that we still need to stay vigilant. And what we have seen too, and we've been fortunate, we had a little hiccup at the beginning of the year, but we've been fortunate, unlike some other schools who've had to go remote for like a week or 2 weeks because of whether it's an outbreak in the school or there was a gathering or something like that. So we haven't had to do that. And I think that we've really benefited because there's been some real continuity, structure in our lives. it's fun to have downtime and just not have anything to do. After a while, I think, that gets boring, and you do need some structure, and not thinking that kids are loving, oh, yay, we're back in school, we're taking tests. But I think the learning process and interacting with your teachers and your peers and that sort of thing, is really important, because for teens right now, their friends are so important for just their own mental health.
All right, thank you. Another question is, since everyone's on their laptops now in school, Wi-Fi has been pretty slow. Is there any work being done to upgrade that?
Yeah, and I got this question in advance, and I hadn't heard a whole lot from faculty about this, but I did reach out to the director of technology, and he said he does monitor it. And were there particular areas that as students you're finding are trickier, or is it more just time of day? Is it location? What would you say?
I'm not really sure, actually. I feel like just in general, sometimes there's spikes where, like, when everyone in a one class like tries to go to a website, it kind of crashes.
Yeah, so what we have done is we put a lot of those access points. They're like little boxes that you'll see sometimes in rooms, and we've added more and more of those, and there's a plan to add more so that every single classroom would have those spaces. So I feel like it has gotten better, but I am aware that it's still slow. What's tough is our buildings were not really designed for that type of learning, right? Because in a typical school year, you may have some classes who are doing some computer research. You might have some students on laptops. You might have some students in a DR who are, on their own laptop doing stuff. But now we're seeing almost every class that is in session is using their laptop at all times. And I think it has definitely put sort of a hold on some of our Wi-Fi capabilities. That being said, I reached out to the director of technology, and I told him, that we're hearing some reports of this, and this needs to be identified, because in order for us to be successful, we've got to have that working full tilt. So I'm glad you asked the question, because it helps us look at ways that we can improve, and clearly having reliable, strong Wi-Fi in this learning environment is critical.
Perfect. Thank you. So our last question here is, what will you be doing for your Thanksgiving break?
Yeah, so for me, I love Thanksgiving. I love the whole tradition. I was thinking to myself the other day, this will be the first year since I was about 8, and I'm now in my 50s, that I will not be attending a Thanksgiving morning football game. I did it growing up. I did it all through college. I did it after getting married, getting into administration. I always worked at a school, so I would go to those games. And then even if it was a school that didn't have it, I always went to a game and then came home. And then for a number of years, I have actually hosted. I'm one of 5, so I'm a good-sized family. And I always hosted that event. I was a little crazy, so I'd go to a game and then rush home, and my kids would help, and my wife would help, and different people would help kind of get things cooking. So this year it's going to be really quiet. It's just going to be my 2 daughters and myself, and one of my older children lives out in Washington State, and for obvious reasons, getting back here for Thanksgiving break just isn't prudent at this time. So it'll just be a nice, quiet, local dinner. And my 2 daughters are coming home from college, so obviously they've had to test before they come home, make sure they have negative tests, and there's a lot more to it. And I'm sure for those of you who have older siblings, you're probably really excited to see them, but that there's also that, okay, but we also have to be vigilant, and we've got to be careful, because they're coming from an environment where there might be a lot more people, and you're coming from a school environment. And so I'm just looking forward to some downtime, some quiet time. As I'm sure you are. We instituted the no homework, no assignment, no reading again for Thanksgiving break. So you shouldn't be receiving anything. If you do, I want to know about it. And so that's what I'll be doing. And I'll probably be doing a little Black Friday Christmas shopping via the internet this year. I'm not somebody that got up and went into the stores at 4 a.m. and did all of that. That was never my style, but I definitely like using the computer to get gifts and kind of get ready for the holiday season, probably do a little decorating and just relax, just kind of relax. I think everyone has worked hard, students, parents, faculty, administrators, and we're just looking forward to a break. How about the two of you? I'd love to learn what will you be doing this year, and is it different from past years?
Yeah, I'm just doing a dinner with my direct family. We usually meet up with all our cousins, but that can't happen this year.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. Usually we host Thanksgiving with all my extended family, and I have a bunch of cousins, so usually there's a ton of us. But yeah, same for me this year. It's just going to be my siblings and parents and I.
Yeah. Obviously there's some level of disappointment there, but it's not worth it if you have elderly grandparents too, or somebody who's, potentially at risk, and it's just hard. I think it gives us something to look forward to in 2021, where hopefully we'll be in a different place, and I'm sure that the celebrations will be great. And just sometimes I think it makes you appreciate just what you have, and if you have your health and you've got your family and your close family, and even if it's siblings that you argue with from time to time, you're still lucky because you have them. And I think sometimes terrible events like this need to remind us of what we should be grateful for, and remind us that better times will come, and we'll go back to football games, and we'll go back to big family gatherings, and we'll be able to do all those things again at some point. But for now, we just have to stay, sensible and smart. One of the things that I picked up over this process with my adult son living out in Washington State is Facebook portal. So I have it connected to my television, and it's super cool. Sometimes people just have the small tablet ones, but it's great. And I know that a lot of people for their Thanksgiving dinners and things are going to be sharing like some online, communication with each other, or some FaceTime or whatever. So just think of that as a potential option. You can use your phone to reach out to cousins and extended family, because it is important that you still stay connected with them. And but it's just a little different this year. So there won't be the wild rush around the table to get the food you want. That's for sure, right? It'll be a lot more mellower, but enjoy it, and rest and relax. And don't forget, you don't come back until Tuesday after the break. You have that Monday off as well, and just another extra day to get some sleep and sort of recoup and regroup, and then get ready for the push until we have our holiday break at the end of December. All right, well, thank you so much. I wish the two of you a fantastic Thanksgiving, as do all of the TV media students and all of you out there in the public. A safe and healthy and happy Thanksgiving. Certainly make sure you appreciate what it is you have. Good reminders. Eat some good food, enjoy some good laughs with close family, and get some well-needed rest. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.